I need to catch up on videos. So, and I also need to catch up on bifacing. So I'm going to do both. Yeah, as usual, I'm going to biface at the beginning of the week for me. The beginning of the week usually starts on Wednesday, not Thursday, as far as my production. But I'm still making the adjustment to my dad being back home from the rehabilitation center. So, after taking care of some stuff, I can get back to making lots and lots of videos. Right? Yeah. We'll see. This is a raw chert. Yeah. I think I got it from Sal. Let's see. I got a bunch of stuff to catch up on. I need to make an arrowhead out of black chert. Hopefully I'll be able to do both of those videos tonight. This is some of the only black chert that I've got. Hopefully this is good enough. This is next. Yeah. Okay. Alright, let's see what I can do with this chunky piece of doo-doo. It starts off looking pretty bad a lot of times. This actually can be heat treated. I know what this stuff is. Yeah, it's not bad at all as a heat treat. What's it called? I don't know. It's just a Texas chert. Captain Crunch. Yeah, it's kind of Captain Crunch-ish. Once you get past the crunchies, it's pretty good. Yeah. Yep. All right, let me take a look at what we got. We've got some bad parts there. Still don't know what's under the cortex here. There doesn't look like there's much impact damage, which is good. Sometimes when it's a creek stone, it's got tumble damage and impact damage. Yeah, I got boxes I haven't opened, well, I haven't shown on video yet. Let's see. Yeah, I got them set up. Yeah, I'm set up to do lots of videos this week. Hopefully I can do it. The weather's getting, well, the weather today got cooler. I just got a late start. Plus, I made a smokes and pipe video. Let's see, what did I do? Well, that wasn't too bad, but that overshot took off more than I was thinking of doing. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to do a lot more of those smoking videos because it's one of my hobbies. Yeah. I'm not only focused on flint knapping. It kind of burns me out to focus only on one thing. So I can't be focused only on flint knapping, although I am delving deeper into flint knapping techniques when I do flint knapping. I'm going to order some more casts of the Cody points. I used to have some casts of Cody points like Eden and Scottsbluff, but I sold those because I thought, I can just look in the book. But I forgot that I need to look at the edges of how they finished those points out, because it's very unusual. Yeah. I'll show you when I get the casts how unusual the edges are on the Cody points. You would think with all that care taken in creating the flake scars, you would think that the edges were extremely sharp and perfect, but they're not. They're not extremely sharp and they're not perfect. Which makes you wonder, why would they go through so much trouble making such beautiful flake scars when the edges were dull? Yeah, it makes you wonder. Now the tips of the Cody points of the Edens and the Scots Bluffs are sharp. The tips are, but the sides, not so much. But you'll see when I get the casts. Yeah. I will show you. And you might be surprised. What are casts? Copies of the originals made in plastic. They take they make a mold out of an original artifact, and they can duplicate the artifact many hundreds of times as a cast, and they can sell the cast for you to study. Yeah. Especially the Flintknappers. Now I'm not sure if the archaeologists order more casts than Flintknappers, but I know that Flintknappers order a bunch of casts so they can look at the originals and either get ideas or try to make duplicates and all that kind of good stuff. Now, what about making duplicates that look just like the real things and make them with natural tools so you can't tell the difference between the real ones and the ones that are just now made in modern times with natural tools? How can you tell a difference if they're almost perfect in comparison? The answer is sometimes you can't. You can't tell a difference. That's one of the problems. You lose track of which ones are duplicates and which ones are real, because over time these things get mixed together in collections. Because collectors sometimes they want pieces that are whole and not broken. Like a lot of artifacts are broken. They want a whole, so they order a duplicate from a Flintknapper so they can have a whole one in their collection. They can also restore or add on pieces to broken artifacts, and you can tell the difference between the restored area and the artifact. And a lot of times you can tell the difference between a modern reproduction and an artifact as well, but sometimes you can't. And those are the ones that get mixed in with the real ones, with the artifacts. Well, you might say, well, if you make it with natural tools and exactly the same way they did it back then what is the difference? Why does it matter if it's not from the old times? It's made in exactly the same way, so it might as well just be an artifact as well. Yeah, you can take that position, but usually these things are considered fakes and they're not made with the best intentions. Yeah, a lot of times they are made with good intention, just to have a collection of stuff that looks real but complete and not damaged. But yeah, we gotta watch out for the ones that are modern, but you can't tell. Can't tell the difference. Yeah, and some of them do get sold for high prices because they get mixed up with the real ones. Yeah. I blame the guys that say, I want to see this made with old tools just like they used to back in the day. I don't care if it looks like a fake. Yeah, most people don't care. Or they don't care if it is a fake. They want to see how it was done. Or, you know, how it might have been done. Now, if you get it on video that it's made in modern times, that's one way to get around it, because there's a video of it being made. If someone tries to sell it as a real one, or, you know, pass it off as an artifact from the past, you can say, no, I saw a guy make it on video. It's not from the past. That's like from 5 years ago or something like that. Here's the video. So you're protected if there's a video on it. But if not, if there's a stealth napper doing it, then sometimes you have no way of knowing. What's my opinion on that in general? I think it's good to figure out, or try to figure out how they make them, because it leads to better understanding of our brains, how our brains work. How advanced were they in the past? How much skill does it take to make some of those? It actually requires a lot of skill in many cases. So that's one thing that's useful to know. Are we actually advancing from our brain capacity or declining? That's useful to know, because if we are declining in our brain capacity, then it's not right. Something's not right. And we can, you know, figure that out to some extent by seeing how difficult it was to make those things from the past. I think that's useful, because we have to monitor our progress. We want humanity to become better, not worse. Yeah. Okay. And I bring up the topic because a lot of people seem to not understand that the demand for seeing stuff made with natural tools is also driving the existence of stuff we cannot tell the difference. Driving the existence of things that get confused with artifacts to meet the demand for people who want to see how it was made with natural tools. Yeah. Anyways, I'm a little rusty. I haven't been napping for a few days. I always have to get back into the groove. This is good quality chert. It's raw chert, but it's good quality, and it's much easier to nap than the Knife River. I say much easier because there's so much less force required to remove a long flake. Yeah. Now, it's not easier to get the flake you want, but it's easier to remove the flakes. I don't have to hit it like I'm going to break it every time. Now, it's going to get that way the thinner I go with this stuff. But it's like, if this was Knife River at this point of the point, I would have to be hitting it extremely hard, much harder than I'm hitting it right now, and it risks breaking it. A lot more. So it's knapping. Knife river is more risky than knapping this kind of stuff. But I've got a lot more knife river to knap because it seems that people want to see that. I think it's because they have trouble. Well, there's probably two main reasons. One, the material is very, very nice and it can be even considered beautiful. And number two, people are having a hard time knapping it well when they do get a hold of some of it. They want to know how to knap it, so they don't waste their money next time they get some. Yeah. What's the secret of knapping the knife river? Nerves of steel. That's the secret. You have to develop a tolerance for the intensity of the risks. Yeah. You have to develop a tolerance or an awareness or both. And you can't really get that from the video. You just think, yeah, it's the same stress level no matter what I'm knapping. That's the way it looks from the video. If I didn't say anything about it, if I didn't mention the stress level, you would say, it's the same pretty much for everything that he naps, right? Because it looks like it's the same. It looks like he's just using the same skill for everything and not making any adjustments, not dealing with any extra problems. Not really. Right? You would think it's not really extra problems. They're all basically the same. Even I have mentioned that it's pretty much the same. There's just subtle differences that can make all the difference, right? But there's two aspects. There's one that there's the skill where you know you can do it, but there's also the stress behind the skill. Like, yeah, I know I can do it, but some materials cause me a lot more stress than others, even though I know I can do it. Okay. And obsidian is that way too. I know I can knap obsidian, and it's pretty easy, and it seems like shouldn't be any real difficulty because it's so easy to knap. But it also breaks easily. I'm distracted by the neighbors. They're arguing. Outside. They're arguing outside. Excuse their French. Ah. So yeah, we live in a goldfish bowl out here, which is okay because we don't usually get arguments that are really bad, but once in a while. Once in a while. What am I going to make out of this? An arrowhead. Alright, this is approaching the sweat stage. Well, no, I think I'm already into it. Ankle deep. I'm not knee deep into the sweat stage yet. very soon I'm going to be knee deep into the sweat stage. And then I'm going to be neck deep very soon after that. Now I can leave it that thick and lessen the sweat stage. You know, just get rid of some of these steps. Like, well, I was going to say like they do in the artifacts, but some of the artifacts, they don't remove these step fractures. Some of them they do. They smooth the surface and leave it a little thick after they smooth the surface and don't go any further. Like, or sometimes they'll leave these little step fractures. But I tend to try to go after those and make it as smooth as possible. But I might just leave it and minimize those instead of eliminating them entirely. There's inconsistencies in it. There's a crunchy spot right there. It's going to get crunchy right here. Once I start thinning, this will get crunchy. I know because it's got concrete. The terminations are not that clean in some cases. Like you'll end up with a fingernail step fracture. But for the most part, it should be okay. It should be easy to get rid of those. Alright, so what are those little defects? What is the width to thickness ratio? Okay, 35 millimeter by 6. It's almost 6 to 1. Yeah. It's pretty safe if you leave it at 6 to 1. Don't go any thinner than that. Yeah. And as I reduce the width, the ratio gets thicker. Like if I were to pressure flake the edges and make it more narrow, it would get to 5 to 1, which is a lot safer. Yeah. I'm debating whether or not to pressure flake it right now. The stem here is pretty thick, so I should focus on thinning the stem. Sometimes I forget and I leave it all wonky. But that reminds me, one of these days I'm going to make a point that has a stem that's not in line with the blade. It'll be skewed like that. And you got to leave it thick down here to do that. You know, you do the stem independently of the blade. Whatever happens down here is different from whatever happens up here. You don't make the whole preform first. You just do it in stages where you either do the stem first or the blade first, and then you work on, you work on both halves at different planes. Okay, but anyway, I'll do that later. I'm probably confusing you, the ones that haven't been watching the channel. There's artifacts that I've shown that have the stems crooked. They're not in line with the whole blade. Okay? Now, if you didn't know that those existed, now you know. Okay? Okay. Alright, so thinning the stem. Yeah, I want to do this. I'm going to flake into step fracture territory. And then I'm going to clean up the step fractures from the side. Yeah. The thinner the stem, the easier it is to knap the notches and stuff, but it's also less durable in the hafting area. Because ultimately, what you're doing is you're making something that can be hafted. That's the whole thing. The hafting is what's important. You gotta attach it to a stick to make it fully functional. In most cases, you have to haft it to a stick or a bone or something. It's not a standalone item in most cases. It's part of a projectile system or a knife system. A lot of times with the knives, you can interchange the blades. You know, the blade gets too small or broken, and you just take it out of the handle and you put another one in that you make, or you have them stored up, and you can replace the blades on your handle like a utility knife. And keep the handle for years and just keep replacing the blades. And if you keep your handles for years, you can make them all fancy. Oh yeah. And you can pass them down to your children even. This is my grandfather's knife handle. I've replaced the blade 60 times in my lifetime. And now I pass it on to you. And sometimes I might put little notches in the handle to signify how many generations it's passed. Right? You can do that? That'd be something. I don't know. I don't know if it was done like that, but it's a possibility. Put your mark in it when you receive it. And then an archaeologist later comes along and says, this bone handle has notches in it and scratches and striations, and we don't know what they are. Maybe they're putting their personal marks into it every time it's passed down or changed ownership. You don't know. You think you know, but you don't know. All right. As it gets thinner, it gets more dicey. But making it thinner makes it look more nicey. Yeah. People say you shouldn't chat. People tell me sometimes I shouldn't chat. Oops. During these videos. I agree. Some of them I shouldn't be chatting because sometimes I have a bad day, or my humor's off, or I'm talking about something that's not pertinent, or I just have an annoying way of doing it. I have an annoying way of chatting. Some people, it just rubs them the wrong way. That neighbor's rubbing me the wrong way right now. There's no shame. I want to look over there and see if there's a crowd watching. Well, actually, doesn't need to be anybody watching outside. We can just hear her. Anyways, it's distracting me. What do I do now? Oh, no, I can't do it yet. I need to practice regular flaking. But yeah, I'm not in the groove to do regular flaking right now. I'm just in the groove to do damage control and just get it thinned down well enough and make it look nice. Did it do it? Almost. It gets critical to have the nice clean tool tip during this operation. Is that good enough, or should I go for another flake? Let's try one more flake. Before we flatten out the other side. Yeah, it didn't do it. It didn't go far enough. No. That's a little island. This little thing right there. Let's see if we can wipe that island off the face of the map. By attacking the sides with a spatula tool. I can press on those step fractures. Why didn't I do that earlier? Well, I'd rather flake it off than try to cheat and push on those faces. Yeah, I say cheating, but it's a valid way of doing it. In the modern era, we have that convenience because we got metal, strong metal to do it. What did they do back in the day? They just left it. Yeah. They left it. They left it in there. You see a lot of artifacts with those little islands. Is there a way I can get it with another flake? Yeah, there's always a way to get it with another flake. It's just, what are you willing to live with? If I dig too much out, it might look weird. If I take a big old flake and scoop it out, I might end up with a scoop out at the end. And then what? I don't know. We'll see. I was not able to pick at those step fractures very well. They're too shallow. If the step fracture was actually worse, it would be easier to remove it. Believe it or not. This is not a good one. This is not a good opportunity, but I'll take it. Let's see. Ha. There it is. I can live with that step fracture. Yeah. It's not as ugly as the other one. I just don't like islands. Yeah. Okay, other side. And the other side, the second side is always a little bit harder to do because it's already thinner. And if I was smart, I would try to do the better quality side as far as material goes last. You do the bad quality side first, so when it's more difficult, when you're doing the other side, at least you have good material or better material than previous. Yeah, than previously. Right? But I usually don't plan that far ahead. I just kind of expediently knap it without thinking too much about those things. Is it working? Yeah, it's working. This is actually really good material. I can't take all the credit for it because it's good. It's good stuff. I'm getting lucky. It's helping me out. It's not uncooperative. It's good. stuff. Yeah, I'm able to reasonably well, I'm able to plan the flake travel reasonably well, within reason. There, see, yes, I got it. Ha! It did it. Now I just gotta clean up this side, which is okay. So far, so good. So far, yeah, it's not too bad. Those type of terminations are a challenge, but they're not too bad. I think I should pressure flake the edge. Yeah, pressure flake it to move that way. Yep. Okay. All right, so just simple Simon pressure flaking. I wonder if the neighbors can hear me doing the video. Yeah, I betcha. So yeah, I gotta make up for lost time here on the videos. I do like making videos as long as everything else is taken care of, right? So I'm not thinking about other distracting things. Yeah, I got several distracting things on the back burner as far as projects go, but I've learned not to take on too many of those, and I've learned to give people fair warning that it may take forever. Yeah, I've had people waiting 5 years for me to nap their stuff. Sometimes it's because I'm not skillful enough yet to give them any kind of measurable or significant results, because they might be better at napping than I am, but they still want me to try it just so they can maybe pick up some ideas. But if I'm not at their level, it's not going to be all that informative. So I've got to increase my skill level. And I've done that with a couple of boxes that I have. I've been delaying them because the rock is extremely challenging, like rhyolites and stuff. I mean, I could blast through it with steel indirect percussion tools like I usually do, but I think I might be able to get better results with specialized copper tools. Copper is really good. Yeah, I'm amazed at how good copper is actually as a material for flint knapping tools. It's amazing stuff. You can get amazing results with copper tools. Anyways, we shall see what happens. Okay, yeah, I need some stout edges for these flake removals. And I tend to, Abrader, a 90, perpendicular to the plane of the the point, right? But I'll also put angles on them, or I'll round them off. But it's faster if I just go perpendicular, even though it may not be the best strategy. It may be best to put a slight angle on there. We'll see. The fastest way is just to do the straight, because then it gives you the option to go either way. If I do a long edge that's slanted, it makes it difficult for me to go this way in case I need to pot off a thick spot. But if I grind it perpendicular, I can hit in either direction. Even though it's not ideal, I can still hit. Sometimes it's more advantageous for me to be able to hit in either direction than to have a perfect flake in one direction. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? No? It's okay. It makes sense to me. It's all that matters. Yeah. I'm kidding. Yes, I kid a lot. Okay. Did it do it? I wanted that to go this way. See, I wanted it to fan out this way, but it hit that, and it said, nah, I'm not going to help you clean that, but I'll go down this way. That's what makes it difficult to know if you're going to be able to create a pattern flaking sequence of patterned flakes. You don't know if it's going to do that kind of stuff. It doesn't make any sense why it did it. It's just the obstacle is so weak. It may be a tough spot in the stone. You never know. It's hard to tell. Let's see. Come on. Yeah, I can clean that up easier now. Because the step fractures that are in there are very shallow. I can probably pressure flake that to clean it up. Yeah. And I gotta make sure I don't install a curve. That's one of the main problems. One of the main problems of Flintknapping is installing the curve. Let's see if that is good. Is it good? It's good. It's a little bit wavy in the middle, but it's good. It works. It's working well. Yes, yes. Voila. I got rid of that fat spot. But it didn't work on that side. What did you do? I'm talking to the stone now. What did you I'm asking it, what did you do? You want to be all wonky once you get this thin, don't you? Yeah. And I thought that was going to be not so difficult. Alrighty. I'm gonna install a slight curve, but oh well. I gotta dig that out now. If I want to get rid of it. Back in the day, sometimes they just leave that in there. Yep. Okay. Still looks a little crackly, but I can fix that in a minute. Yeah. Now I'm back to knapping that other side because I don't want that. I don't want to start dishing out too much in here. This is gonna cause it to be much thinner, but it's better than looking like it has a curve in it. Of course, this is all for aesthetics. This has nothing to do with the function. It was functional a while ago. What I'm doing is just aesthetics now, if I can manage it. It may start getting worse. Yeah, I can't do that flake with a pressure flake. It's got to be with percussion. Okay, so what else? "48 minutes. Yeah, I was just reading a book on Ishii, and it said that he would average 30 minutes for his arrowheads. Who is Ishii? Ishii the Indian. ISHI. You can Google him. One of the last Indians to enter into the European settlement areas with and still retaining all of his ancestral skills. He was a wild Indian up until he wandered into town, and he had all of his ancestral skills, so to speak. And he worked after he was integrated into society. He worked at a museum showing people how to make arrowheads and baskets and his tools for Flintknapping and his bows and bowstrings, everything. How he would fish with harpoons. I think he might have even made nets, or a net or two. Yeah, he made all sorts of things, not just bows and arrows or arrowheads. But we get the Ishii stick is named after him because he had a long stick for pressure flaking. Relatively long pressure flaker. Yeah. This is getting dangerously thin. Just so I can clean it up. Yeah. The thinner it gets, the harder it is to clean it up, and the more critical it is to be clean. So you walk right into a catch-22 with this kind of stuff. it gets harder to thin, but then you have an imperative to thin it cleanly. It gets harder to thin it cleanly, but as you approach the ending of it, it's more imperative to be clean in the thinning. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yikes. It's not going to be forgiving at all. Well, it is forgiving it has been forgiving. But it's reaching its tolerance. It's not going to forgive me for trying to do this at this stage. What I'm trying to do is nap through some concrete to get something to flake beautifully, but it says, nah, you're right at my tolerance level. The stone is telling me I can't tolerate you doing that. I'm not going to cooperate. And then I'm telling it, well, at this stage I need you to cooperate more than you've ever cooperated before. Because it's the finishing stage. You need to cooperate. And it's saying, no. You know what happens during the thinning. It gets harder for me to cooperate with you the thinner you get it. It doesn't care that I'm reaching the finishing stage. It says, I don't care. I am not going to cooperate. I'm not going to go that way. See? It has no reason to stop other than that's got to be a tough spot as far as the material goes. There's no reason for the flake not to go that way, usually. But that's got to be a tough spot right there. Okay. It doesn't do me any good to know that either, because, well, I know it now, but it doesn't help me to make it beautiful. I've got to try to use all my tricks to try to get it to work. I may have to cheat. I don't know what I'm going to do. Other than grind it down. That's cheating. Oh, that's not too bad. Come on. I can usually power through that, but this time I don't know. See, I can grind it like this. And minimize it, but I'd rather get rid of it. And the thinner it gets, the harder it is to get rid of it. But the more imperative it is to get rid of it because I'm at the finishing stages. Yeah. I'm not going to be able to do it. Alright, so we'll just continue. We'll leave it in there. No sense in beating a dead horse. Right? You get diminishing returns. It's saying, no, I'm not going to do it. But yeah, I want you to do it. But it keeps saying, no, I'm not going to do it. Just forget it. And you go, no, I can't forget it. And you just keep beating it. Okay, I almost dropped it onto the flakes. See, if I were to drop it on the flakes at this point, it's getting too steppy. Dang it. The only way to cure that is to reduce the width a lot and then reflake the whole surface. See, this surface should have been a piece of cake compared to that surface. But no. Now it looks all crunchy. And pressure flaking it didn't help it. It made it worse. And you might say, well, it's your kind of pressure flaking that's making it worse. I could have cleaned that up easily. Yeah, well, some people can. And you might have been able to. But somehow I messed it up. I don't know if it's the edge is not strong enough to do what I want, or what. Well, it flaked kind of the way I wanted. It just didn't. It didn't help too much. Yeah. Anyways, here we go. I'm just gonna wrap it up, and if I need to remove a fat spot later, maybe I can figure out a way. But for now, I gotta wrap it up. I can't be taking all day. Yeah, I can spend 3 hours for each arrowhead. It's only been an hour. I could spend 2 more hours on this easy if I was very persnickety about it. Yeah. Easy. I have spent 3 hours on a point. Several times, many times, just to get it to where it's nice and clean. And I haven't been able to figure out a shortcut to get it nice and clean without spending 3 hours on it. Other than the flake over grind technique. Grind it down first and then flake it. But if you grind something that's inconsistent, the flake over grind can look terrible because you're thinking you can just run flakes wherever you want, and you'll hit these areas that are full of concrete, and you'll be running along perfectly, and all of a sudden poof, it'll make a mistake, and then you try to get it from other areas, you grind it down some more, and you still try to flake through it. It will not flake through it. Nope. And then you have to cry. Get out the tissues, because you get too many issues. Yep. So, yeah, I've had guys hand me the stuff that they have slabbed, and they hit these concrete areas, and they say, can you do anything with this? I hit some concrete, and it's a slab, I know, but I need to know how to get rid of concrete. Because the only option I have is to slab, because I don't have much material. I slab it to save material, but then I end up not being able to nap it. I say, okay, I'll try to get it. So I grind it a lot, right? And then I smack it with an indirect percussion tool hard enough to break it. And they go, they gasp. They are taken aback. And they start biting their nails. And then they wonder, why didn't it break? And they don't want to hear that it's all luck. It didn't break because I got lucky. They want to know exactly, how do you prevent the breakage? I don't have the heart to tell them sometimes that it's luck. It didn't break because I got lucky. I got lucky that there was not a weak spot there. Because if there was a weak spot there, it would have broken. Yeah. Come on, you can do it. There it is. See, what I'm doing is taking out the curve. It was too much mass on that side. I'm probably still not able to get the whole curve out, but I can get close. You're saying, dude, you already cleaned up that side. Why risk ruining it? Well, that's what you get if you want to try to be perfect. You got to keep going. Some people keep going and going and going until they get a little nub. Yeah. But eventually you'll figure out when to stop. If you never figure that out, then you're in that boat with people who can't get past making the almond stage. Yeah. They're perpetually stuck in that Groundhog Day where they're making the almond. And they're shooting for the stars or thinking, if I can only do this until I get different results, I can get a beautiful, smooth, evenly flaked, aesthetically pleasing to me arrowhead of beauty. Yeah, I know. You're just going to have to lower your standards a little bit and bite the bullet, so to speak. Yep, that's what you got to do. I know what I say, just keep doing the same thing over until you get different results, but sometimes that process takes longer than you can tolerate, and you start to get diminishing returns because you get angry. You go, dang it, I should be able to do it. I've been working on it for years. Yeah, sometimes you just got to go, oh well. And don't pay attention to the people that say they laugh at you because they think it's hilarious that you can't work the stone as well as they do. Yeah, don't pay attention to those. Yeah. They don't have your best interest at heart. All they're interested in is, it seems, is just to show off their own talent. If they're bugging you that you're not doing well. Some might say, well, dude, yeah, I see what you're saying, but I'm competing against myself, man. I'm competing against myself. Yeah, okay. I get it. I do get it. I understand it. Just don't wear yourself thin. You're supposed to come out of a napping session with some satisfaction. You're not supposed to end it with throwing the piece across the room and storming out of the shop. Yeah, because you may explode if someone looks at you funny. After doing that, come out of the shop all aggravated and someone looks at you funny like, what's the matter? Don't ask me what's the matter. I've been messing with rocks that don't cooperate. So don't get on my nerves. Yeah. Don't be that guy. Yeah, I know how it is. What's the matter, Dad? Nothing. Just had a bad day in the shop. But you know what? I'm going to plan on having some bad days, so it's just another bad day that you got to chalk up to the whole experience. Yep. Can't always have good days. Not with this stuff. Now, if you want to always have good days, you can get into something that's a little more safe. Maybe making some pipes. Yeah. That's pretty safe. What else was I thinking of gathering and drying as far as leaves and materials go? There's some I've heard of. Oh yeah, the staghorn sumac. There's a ton of it out here, and I know you can smoke some of that, but I'm a little bit wary of smoking that because I've heard bad things, you know, the toxins and stuff. But apparently the staghorn sumac is not very toxic. Apparently, I may just gather some of those. I mean, they're everywhere here, and they're just starting to bloom. You know, just barely. Anyway, this is the time to start gathering pieces of that plant. All right, so what am I going to do? I'm just picking at the edge. I don't know what I'm going to do for notching. I'm going to leave in those crunchy spots. I might be able to shape it in such a way that I can get to those spots and try to flake into them and clean them up, but it's already pretty thin. So I hesitate to do that. Let's do some side notches since I can try to knap through that concrete with some side notches. That might work. Get rid of that concrete mess. Yeah, I think I can do it. Yeah. I don't know what kind of point it's going to end up being, but I think I can do it. Concrete is a little bit crunchy, so I'm not going to expect miracles, but I can probably expect to take that out of there and make it look like it was never there. There you go. Haha. Yeah. What concrete? I didn't see any concrete. Did you see concrete? No, I missed it. Good. I'm glad you missed it. Where you been the whole video? Oh, I advanced it to the end. Caught you. I caught you advancing it to the end, didn't I? Yep. Now you got to rewind it to see the concrete. You missed the best part. Right? Or no? Now it's just a matter of crunching in these notches, figuring out if I'm going to make them expanding notches. I already started expanding it a little bit. Am I going to deepen the notches? Am I going to put multiple notches? I don't want to do multiple notches. No. I got to go in. Let's see. I actually bought a baby monitor so I can see if my dad's getting up. And he can't stand for, he can't stand up without feeling dizzy, lightheaded, and ready to faint. So if he tries to stand up, I gotta go help him out. But so far, he's just resting. Yeah, I got a baby monitor with a little screen that I can see what he's up to. That just came in today. So now I can spend more time in the shop making videos. Now, should I leave the base rounded or should I put in a concavity? Decisions. Yeah, nice little pop outs. I like those. I like them a lot. One of the things that looks bad is to stall the bottom of the notch. It looks better if you have a nice sharp pop out. That creates a sharp edge at the bottom. Now, for practical purposes, it's not that great to have sharpness at the bottom of the notch because it'll cut the windings and the wrappings. But it just looks better to me if it's not stalled. And a lot of artifacts have fresh, non-stalled edges at the bottom of the notches. Even though it's not conducive to the wrapping. So it makes you kind of wonder, is this, when they do that, is it because they like the look of it or what? Because it doesn't make much sense in practical purpose, in the practicality of it. All right. Yeah. Okay. We'll just leave it rounded like that. I'm going to sharpen the tip up more, make it more pointy. I'll put my high power glasses on and we'll finish it up. And I'll change the tool that I'm using to a sharper tip. Yeah, the one on the left is sharper. Plus I'm going to sharpen it even more. Just a little bit. All right, where's my glasses? Where's my other ones? Yeah, that's the one. Here we go. Ooh, I'm noticing dull spots. Uh-oh. Okay. So let's start. I'm going to thin it as well as sharpen it. Okay. I got to get it so it doesn't get blurry. Position it so it's not blurry, hopefully. Yikes, that's risky. So yeah, I had to pick out the spots in between the flakes to get rid of the dull spots. They need to be sharper. There we go. Yes, yes. Same thing on the other side. I got it way over here in this corner so it doesn't get blurry. If I'm like that, it focuses on my thumb. Yeah. In case you're wondering why sometimes I wander to the corner. In this case, I'm doing it on purpose. Sometimes I wander everywhere else, and it's not because I did it on purpose. It's because I'm not paying attention. But in this case, I'm down in this corner because I don't want it to get blurry. Alright. So yeah, now I'm just sharpening and picking at it in little serrations. Why little serrations? Because it looks cool. That's why. I can do some thinning. Up here. If I'm careful. Careful. It's good quality material, but if I'm not careful, I can easily snap the tip off. Why does it matter if it's good quality material? You'll see. Once you get the hang of it, you'll see that delicate procedures are much more predictable with good material. And good, by good I mean it has reasonable flexibility and it's reasonably easy to remove a flake. There's some cherts that are flexible but not very easy to remove flakes, like the Knife River. And some that are easy to remove flakes but not flexible, like some of the chalky Texas cherts. So you know, if it's, you don't want it to be Captain Crunch up here near the tip. And yeah, sometimes it has to do with the technique. But yeah, it has to do with the stone as well. Okay. Did it get more pointy and more thin? There's still a slight curve. I don't know if I want to mess with it. See, what I can do is to try to get rid of, it looks slightly curved in that direction. I can remove this mass here by flaking into it and then remove a little bit of that, but mostly remove some of this on this side. It presents the illusion that it's straighter. Well, it's pretty straight now. If you look down the edge, see the edge is straight, but when you have more mass on one side than the other, it looks curved. So when I say take the curve out, it may not actually be all that curved. It just looks curved. But if you look down the blade, this one is slightly curved. That one's pretty straight. So yeah, I can pick at it some more and it'll get straighter. What else can I do to this? I don't know. I know what I can do to this. I can show you what it looks like hafted. If I can find my... there it is. What else is in here? Oh, I got floor tile and glass. Alright, let's change glasses. Alright, here we go. Yeah, no, that's too big. Yeah, beautiful. Perfect. So you want the wood to be near the bottom of the notches, as close as you can to the bottom of the notches. And you want the wood to be able to be wrapped over the top when you put the wrapping in the notches. Now it's thinner than this notch, but the glue makes up for that. And the more room you have in there in the notch, the easier it is to center the point. But yeah, I'd put it in that. This isn't that little dart point. Yeah, you can use it for arrows, but yeah, back in the day, something of this size would be in that little dart point, not an arrow point. So 2 3/8 by 1 1/8. It's in that little dart point, and this is in that little dart foreshaft. Yeah, because an arrow foreshaft is like this. See the difference? You put it on an arrow, you can do it, but it's just huge, and it does fit. But it's a huge arrowhead. For an arrow, it looks a little bit too big, but for that little dart point, I think it looks perfect. Yeah. It's funny how I think it looks perfect when that's actually what it is. Yeah. Funny how that works. Why doesn't it? There it goes. What else? I have other. Can it be a knife blade? Yeah. Little knife. Yep. This is a little knife handle. You can make it into a little knife. So it can be both in that little dart point or a knife. This type of design. What can you do with a knife that small? I don't know. Who knows? But it looks cool. Let's see. It could go on to something like that, but the wood sticks out too far for my taste. Yeah, but it's entirely possible. You can use a little dart foreshaft with a deep notch, and it still works. You can wrap it and leave some of the wood over the top. I just prefer to wrap it with not much wood left over the top. I prefer it to be like that. Now, does that cause it to snap right there? Yeah, you might be onto something there. But if you make that the thickest part right there, it won't snap right there. But you say, well, if I make that the thickest part and I can't notch it, I gotta make that the thinnest part. Then yeah, you can put it into a deeper notch. That way, if that's the thinnest part of the whole thing, this will add some support. Okay? It does make sense. You can do it this way. There's many options. All right? Okay. And yeah, it can double as both a knife and an metal dart point. That's possible too. Or a spear point. You don't have to have a big old thick spear point. You can insert it into a thicker spear handle. Okay, and just use it as a spear that way. All right, okay. As a spearhead. The spearhead is not just the stone, it's the foreshaft as well. Okay, so there you go. Enough blah blah blah. This has got a thinning flake here. I could put another one in the middle here to make it look cool, but I don't need it. It's already really thin. Okay, so there you go. That's it.